and welcome to today's session of GitHub for Me series. We are so excited to have everyone here join us today. My name is Omolola Alfred, and I am a senior Power Platform developer and also a Microsoft Most Valuable Professional. So today we'll be looking at what we have been looking at for a while now, GitHub for Me series, and I have an amazing person with me today. But before I go on and I introduce Ayo today, let's just look at what we have for today. So, do you know that if you have your project live on GitHub, it actually helps change the scenario when you are actually having an interview? The discussion will move from what can you do to talking about the project that you actually have uploaded on your GitHub. And that is why it's important for you to actually have your projects documented on GitHub, not just sitting on your computer. If you're wondering what kind of project can I actually do, I'm a data analyst, I don't have any project. Then if you go to aka.ms/GitHub for me series, we have 3 fantastic data analysis use case projects that you can actually start from. And if you're actually a Power Platform developer like me and you're wondering, I'm a Power Platform developer, but I do not have projects, then there's no need for you to worry. We have 2 amazing Power Platform projects. How do you access all of these 5 projects that I've talked about? Just go to aka.ms/GitHub for me series. You get started into the world of development. Now, in the GitHub for Me series, we have actually done an amazing series putting together how you can actually start and understand Git and GitHub. If you go to aka.ms/GitHub for Me series, you have all of these videos available there for you to actually start. Then the last series that we had this amazing dentist, and a dentist that is also a data analyst. He came and he told us how to actually put up our data analyst project live on GitHub to attract recruiters. If you go to aka.ms/GitHub for Me series, all of these programs are there for you. So now you might be wondering, I'm a Power Platform developer. How do I put my project on GitHub? Do I need to, use codes and all of that to push my project on GitHub? You do not need to use codes. And this session is actually for you. So if you're a Power Platform developer or you are a developer and you have no project at all on GitHub, this series is especially for you. So after building your application, what next? Another thing that we've actually put together for you, if you don't know how or where to start, we have a cloud skill challenge put together for you, and you can actually start with the cloud skill challenge. So do not forget, it's so simple. You're looking for where to start. aka.ms/GitHub for Me series is the place for you to start. Without further ado, allow me to introduce to you the latest Microsoft Most Valuable Professional, someone with immense knowledge when it comes to technical know-how. Allow me welcome Ayotunde Ayola. Hi Ayotunde, how are you doing today?
Hi Lola, how you doing? It's so good to be here. It's so good to be here. So good.
Welcome,
I
welcome.
thank you. All right. Welcome everybody. So good to have you all around. Thank you all for joining us. Such a great privilege to be on Microsoft Reactor. Uh, you know, taking taking this session right here. All right. It's going to be a very quick and interesting session. All right. And the session will follow up with what we've done initially and previously in the past few weeks. When since we started this local data analysis and local documenting your project on GitHub. Uh, and like I said, it's going to be a very interesting session. I am Ayo, and I am a solution architect with in the areas of business applications. So when it comes to local technology, Microsoft Dynamics, Power Platform, software engineering, DevOps, uh, I play in those spaces. All right, and So that all of those knowledge and experience will come in play today, even as we delve into the beauty of the things that we can do within the space of this ecosystem. All right. And we're going to take it slow. It's a very short session, but I need us to give attention to everything I would say and do so that you can learn. The idea is for you to leave this training, this session today, all right, equipped to be able to do what I do, what I show you afterwards. All right. That's the intention of why we do Reactor. All right. Today we'll be looking at three basic, agendas. All right. We'll look at the Power Platform itself, because the idea is we're saying documenting Power Platform project on GitHub. Right. That's the intention. Documenting this project on GitHub. So we'll be looking at the Power Platform project itself, because the idea is you must understand Power Platform. You must understand what it entails. You must understand the things you would have interactions with. How do you prepare your Power Platform project before you even start talking about moving it down or documenting it on an open source system like GitHub, as it were in this case? Right. Number two is definitely we're talking GitHub here, right? GitHub has its own structure and system. I think in the very first session we had, my good colleague Clifford took us through what Git and GitHub is, version control and all of that. And the beauty is in Power Platform, we also have a model. So Power Platform leverage what we call the you know uh GitHub Actions. So we leverage on GitHub Actions to be able to, do automate our own deployment, just like you would do in software engineering, leveraging doing Git push, Git origin to main, to be able to have your project on GitHub, right? Which is just a user interface. I'm sure Clifford did good justice to that in that first session, and in the last session with data doctor, I'm sure we saw the idea of how you can pick up a Power BI project and put it on and document it on GitHub. So we'll be following that trajectory today, picking up a Power Platform project, and then how do I document it? And I'm going to be giving us a bonus. The bonus is that we would add some nice things to it around how you should actually prepare. What are the pattern you should follow as a Power Platform developer, whether you develop with Power Apps, with Power Automate, with Power Virtual, irrespective of the Power Platform tool that you use. The documentation is still the same model. So we'll be looking at that uh, as we go on today. All right. So the first thing we'll look at is the solution life cycle. Like I said, design concept. We'll look at, because when you get your Power Platform project, the first thing is your design concept. Any project you get in Power Platform, the first thing is what? Design concept. You must understand the project before you even go into development of the project. First thing, understand the project. Once you understand your project, then you can go ahead and then from your design conceptualization, which means requirement gatherings, reviews, discovery sessions, to be able to break down into pieces the customer's need. Once you've done that, then you move into modeling. So your modeling can go around data modeling, security modeling, application modeling, from your logical diagrams, your physical diagrams, just to be able to interpret the solution you are about to work on, the Power Platform solution you are about to work on. When you are done with that, then we now get to the point of solution development and deployment. You see that? So when you develop the solution, build app interface with Canvas app, write automations with Power Automate and the likes. When you're done, then customer says it's time to have the solution in our production environment so that we can engage with it, right? Then we talk about deployment. So at the point of deployment, then what we call blueprinting. So exposing your blueprinting comes in, which is documentation. A lot of people don't like documentation. But the thing is, you see, documentation is the backbone of any successful work or project, as it were. Because what documentation will do for you is it gives the project a strong lifespan. So when you hear things like when you have solutions that have long-term support and all of that, they are solutions that are well documented. So those are key elements that we put in place as a Power Platform developer. So follow me. If you are into Power Platform, note that this is where you start your project structure from. I know most of us just build as we like. No, don't do that. Start from design concept, model your system, build, deploy. All right. Now, when you leave that stage, you now want to, at the point of deployment, you can now deploy your in Power Platform. We work with our solutions, with our project as solutions. So which means we have two forms of solutions. We call one the unmanaged, we call one the managed, which means unmanaged means I am this solution is more like your source repository, your source copy, which means that's the solution you can always go back to and then make changes and then commit your changes to your what to your branch, or commit your changes to your repository as it were. And then the managed means you're deploying to production or to UAT for external users or end users of that solution to be able to access and use that specific solution as the case may be. All right. So those are the modalities that follows when we talk about deploying and developing solutions as it were. All right, in the Power Platform, managed, unmanaged. So you follow that trajectory. Okay, so now we're at the stage of where you are deploying either as managed or unmanaged. But whether you are deploying as managed or unmanaged, you must still have the project will still have a central documentation of how everything you did was achieved, what you did, why you did what you did, and all of that. So everything has to be well documented as it were. All right, in this scenario, the place where you would have need for whether your solution is managed or unmanaged is when you need to commit your project to a repository in case of cloning in the future, in case of releasing it to production or to UAT, as the case might be. All right, now let's leave that and let's go to design approach. When you engage your system, we have what we call the design approach. So one of the things that must be in your documentation that is very key for documentation is anybody looking at your documentation, especially Power Platform. Power Platform is it's a system with many legs. All right. So when you have a system with many legs like that, you must be very intentional as an engineer to be able to have documentations that are well littered in terms of what was done. So design and function view. So your design view, your function, if you have written functions, power functions, you need to be able to have those design structure. Let people have an idea of what it is, of what you are trying to achieve, why you wrote what you wrote, right? Your design view. If you have done your design with maybe a design tool like Figma and the likes, right? Like Microsoft InVision, you need to be able to have a put a skeletal view there, or you could just take you could just put your application itself as a design interface that people can relate with, at least have an idea first of exactly what you're trying to achieve at the end of the day. All right, then definitely you need to expose your DB, your database, right? Don't forget that Power Platform is a business application system, which means that it sits the core of the success of the platform is data driven. Power Platform is a data driven system. So which means there is no way you work with the Power Platform that you will not interact with data, right? In just on 2 3 days ago when data doctor was taking us through his session, he took us through his data models, right? That was how he was able to what report and interpret data in Power Platform. Also, whether you're working with the Power Apps or the Power Automate, you need to also interact with data. So there has to be data querying. You are talking to a database, or you are returning date information from a database. So there has to be conversation going on from your application or automation interface to your what backend database. Very key. And then on the flip side is the automation. So the automations could come in form of your app development, uh, writing your Power Automate structures, UI automations, business processes, and all of that. So all of this together forms an holistic view of your design approach. All right. Now I'm taking us through this intentionally because I'm going to take you through documentation. However, it's important that you have an idea of what the ALM structure of Power Platform is all about. Because if you are going to be hired by a recruiter, if I'm going to be interviewing you or reviewing your work, I need to be. These are the models that we ask anybody I'm interviewing. If you cannot go through answering these questions, then I will understand that you don't have an idea of industry accepted models and patterns. So that's why I'm taking us through this as a bonus to say before you document, make sure you check these boxes on the screen. All right, good stuff. All right. Now let's move on. Now the next thing you want to look at is your ALM, which is what I've been talking about. So what is your ALM? It's just your application life cycle, right? I'm sure most of us has heard people talk about I developed somewhere, I published to staging or use or UAT and then production. So it means that what when you are also working as a Power Platform person, you must also go through that route. So where you build your application will be different from where your customers or your users will test the application will be different from where the general users of that system will use it. So it means that when you are planning your structure, you must also include, because if you document your project on GitHub and you don't have this documentation structure in place, and you make your project open source, public, and I go into the system, I might, as a novice, I might pick up that project, follow through with the project, and then do everything on the production instance, and that would cause chaos, right? But you would do a good job to also highlight, document effectively to say, start from development. Then, when you are done with development, deploy as a managed solution from your source environment to your UAT environment to your production environment. When I go into demo, I would highlight all of those things on my instance so we see how it is. Okay. Ah, then you also have solution strategy. So solution strategy would then include the things that we have in a solution. In a solution, we have object, right? We have object. Your solution has a nomenclature, right? When you build an application, anybody should be able to relate and understand your or be able to call your application. If anybody is going to be writing a third-party application like a JavaScript to your solution, how do they interact with your solution? How do they speak to your solution? You see that? So those are elements that are key when you're doing this kind of process. All right. Now, apart from this, we then talk about project structure. All right, project structure. Excuse me. All right. So in your project structure, what you're doing is giving some sort of graphical representation of what you're trying to achieve. Some people understand it as maybe having creating flow charts, just to be able to represent what exactly the project is all about. What is the flow of the application? What is the flow of the automation? Things like that, right? Your ER model, that's your entity relationship. I talked about data earlier. How are your data talking to each other? What is the connections between your data? How is table A speaking to table B? All of those elements must be documented. When I see that kind of documentation, then I will know that what this person understands what he's trying to do. All right. And then definitely, if you have any functions, any external things you've done, you need to impute it in that conversation. All right. Good stuff. Yeah. Now, after that, definitely you want to talk about testing and going live. So you need to test your system, right? Test it effectively, test your system against what you've documented, pattern it, be sure. All right. And then in go live, it means you're deploying live. All right. So when you are testing, you are doing your documentation. Your repository, you are creating your repos, your README files where you have your sequential model of modus operandi of the solution, and then whatever documents you need to put on board, your image files, you have some zipped files, you will probably have your functions in the txt file, and you want to just upload everything on the repository. Those are the models that you put together and then drop it on your repo. So these are the structures and the approach you want to follow, all right, while you document. But don't forget, it's intertwined from your Power Platform application development model, and then the documentation follows exactly the same structure and the same pattern, as it were. All right, so I will stop right here. I think I've done justice to explaining a few things. We'll jump into GitHub. We'll jump into my demo, and then in my demo, I will show you the same trajectory I just explained into documentation. I know you build Power Platform, you build Power Apps, Power Automate, but then you need to document the system. All right, you need to document what you've done, and then in documenting what you've done, how does that happen? So I'm going to be sharing my screen. Just give me a moment. Um, okay, okay, good. So let me when my screen is visible, everyone. All right. Please do let me know. I'm sharing my screen right now. All right. Good, good. So I think the screen is visible, yeah? Fantastic. All right, so I'm going to just increase the screen so we can have good visibility. All right. Now, before we go into any of this, the first I would, I'm sure you can see what I'm dropping on the screen, is my Power Apps. So I talked about the fact that working on a Power Platform project, the Power Platform project must follow uh, a pattern, a pattern. So if you look at my screen right now, I have a solution called the Request App Solution. Follow me keenly, everybody. Request App Solution. You will see that the Request App Solution contains 9 different results or 9 different objects. You can see 9 different objects, of which 4 of them are applications. All right, I just added 2 actually. It should just be 2 applications, but I added 2. But anyways, let's leave it. One Cloud Flow and then right? One Cloud Flows and then you would see that I have applications that have a different kind of nomenclature, naming convention. And I have another one that has this RAS. RAS is a request app solution, which is this. That's what we call the prefix, the publisher prefix. I talked about naming. So this is what when anybody sees RAS, know that oh, that is the request app solution. That is the nomenclature for the solution. If I see contoso underscore environment, it means that's another application. I only brought it in so that I can show that to us, right? If I see CR7F3, oh, that is also another uh element or object of another solution. But in this case, that's for the environment we are working in. So you see that this is the solution. So the solution has about 9 different resources, right? In this case, I've done Power Apps, Canvas app, model driven, and all of that. So it means that you need to now properly document this system in a way that anybody picks it up can understand and follow through. That's one. Number two, I talked about your application lifecycle management, which is about environment strategy. So at it right now at the top, you would see I'm currently in development environment, and then I have if I drop down, I have the production and I have the UA. You see that? So, which means when I build in the development, I am going to move to the UAT and the production. Can you see the structure now of how things are done? And then if I go into the you see that in the development I have about 3 screens, right? About 3 screens, home screen, request and the success screen, right? So it means that when I am documenting, and each of these screens have 1 or 2 elements that they operate with. So it means when I'm documenting the screens, if I've written a function, the functions, so everything I've done on this application must be well documented. Enough of that. I believe we've seen that, right? Now I'm going to show us a sample in just like 3-4 minutes, a sample documentation I've done, and then I will now take us through documenting our own, okay, in this scenario. Good. So everybody now, if at least let's take a quick uh dive into a sample project I've done. So to start with, you know, your project solutions, or be it Power Platform, core software engineering project, whichever. If it's core software engineering, you probably be using Git to commit a few things. I also use it to commit stuffs in Power Platform. However, we have what we call the GitHub actions. It's not a training for today, it's something else to show you how you can, instead of manually exporting and importing, how you can use GitHub actions to push your project to GitHub, all right, or any other dev instance. For example, if you look at my screen right now, uh for example, this is Microsoft Azure DevOps. You can say I have a project here. This is a Power Platform project. You can see Canvas app, but it's committed to a repository. You see that? So I have the same thing here in my GitHub. So the idea is it helps you streamline and give ease. Instead of having to manually export, import, you can easily write GitHub actions to push to GitHub. You can easily use Power Platform build tools to create pipelines to push to Azure DevOps. All right. So developers operation DevOps instances helps you just improve productivity model. So let me show you a quick solution that I've worked. This is one. Everybody look at my screen carefully. Let's increase this a bit so it's more visible. So this is a project. It's a Power Platform project, the request app solution that I just showed us now, right? So you see what I've done. So what I've done here is after creating my repository and creating my README file. So we have so README file is like your I can relate it to your Word document. All right, more like your Word document where you can put step by step things in your solution. Now, in your Word document, you type and all of those things, right? Now, in a README file, you also type doing your Word. Now, the only that in your read, able to, perform some actions. Maybe you want to put links, and you need what we language called Markdown. Markdown. The way in Power Apps we call it Power Functions. The way if you're writing a front-end engineering language, a front-end, if you're doing a front-end development, you might use a language called React, language called Node. In README, we have what we call Markdown. So Markdown is like your English. It's not a very difficult. It's like your English. When I start doing it now, you will see how seamless it is, as it were. All right. Now, this is a project. Now you see that I have some files here. I have some folders, I have some of my file, I have some zipped file here, right? In this case. So what are you seeing on my screen right now, everybody? Is I started by saying project documentation leveraging GitHub features, right? You're wondering how I brought all of these elements in. So I brought this in and then I gave it an header to say the solution is called Quest App Solution. And I talked about the solution. I placed the solution overview, explain what it is, the link even to the solution in case it's a Power Apps project. So it means if you click on the link and you don't have access, you can't access the application, right? But I just put a link there so you see, right? And then I put my solution justification, then my solution taxonomy. Now follow this trajectory. These are good, these are proper way to document your Power Platform solution, right? So you see the taxonomy, right? Which is what your I talked about design conceptualization earlier. That's what is happening here. So look at the business document, evaluate the document. When you evaluate the document, run your solution design, which is where you have your data model, security model, application lifecycle management, your integration models, right? And then you put your project management structure in place. Do you want to go waterfall? Do you want to go agile? And all of that. When you're done with that, then you move on to your design approach. So you see what I'm saying? In my design approach, it's a Power Platform project, everybody, right? In my design approach, I said that what our user interface was done with Figma, right? Then it was transformed using CAP, and then the application functionalities were developed using Power FX. You see that? So anybody reading this is getting the idea of what this project is all about. Then I went to say, what? These are the app interface, the home screen, the request screen, at least just to have a feel of what the UI looks like. That's the design interface. Now, yours could be so. What have I done here? I just took screenshots. So I went into my app, I took screenshot, and I uploaded the screenshot there. That's all I did to see exactly what you've done. All right, good. Then the next thing is I took them to say, what? I wrote some functions, right? This is the function. I took a screenshot of that my function interface and I placed it there. I even went further to even add the function there because there could be cases where somebody might want to copy the function. When we get to the next place, I'll show you. I can put the function there in case you want to make the function available or the code available to anybody who might need it. Now look at it, and then I said, hello, I'm sure you're getting the feel of how the solution came about. Now Now let's go to it. Then take them to ALM. I brought in a simple image, embedded the next ReadMe file, the next .md file on this. I embedded it here. So if I click on this, it takes me to what? My ALM position. Can you see my ALM ReadMe file? You see that? So instead of me having to go back, I could easily just click here, go click on this and go back and then go and click on ALM. But instead of doing that, on that same interface, just brought in an image, click on the image, it takes me here. Can you see? That's what am I doing? I'm giving you a good user experience while you are even reading my project. While you're going through what I've done, I'm giving you a fantastic user experience. Right? So I'm doing, I have deployed the use of 3 environments. One is called Stringify DevOps, one is called Stringify UAT, one is called Stringify Production. And then I explained the use case of each of them. Oh, the DevOps, this environment serves as the development instance where my application is being built, and this is where my source copy is living. And the source copy is an unmanaged file. Can you see that can now later be deployed to a cloud repository like GitHub or Azure DevOps? Can you see that? It's making sense to you who is reading. I move to the next one, Stringify UAT. I'm saying that what? This is the user acceptance test environment where users and stakeholders can come test the solution before we deploy to production. Then I have my prod instance, and my prod instance is where the live project will be sitting when we're done, and it will be managed. It will be a managed solution. Are you following? And then I show a screenshot of the environment. So I'm not just saying it, I've done it. So I'm showing you this is it. DevOps, UAT, production. Can you see that? Then I took them further to my what? My data location. Because you are working with Power Platform, these are the journey you must follow in documentation. You see that? So you have an environment, good. Where's our data sitting? Oh, in this case, our data is going to be sitting in the United States region, leveraging on the data center that is close to it. Can you see that? So I said environment in the same region, from dev to UAT to production. If you are the one reading this project and you are even a novice, you can mirror this and you'll be fine. And it can form a basis to documentation for you, right? Then I went further to now say that is my environment. Now let's go to solution strategy. What do I mean by that? So in my solution strategy, I let you know that in this solution, my solution publisher, that means how you can, the publisher of my solution, the nomenclature of my solution is this request app solution. I showed it to us earlier, right? If you all remember, if I take you back and we go back out, can you see it here? Where's the publishers here? Watch this. Request. Can you see it here, and everybody? Request app what? Solution. This is it here. Request app solution. So I documented that request app solution on my what? On my GitHub. Request apps. I even did see. I even imputed a screenshot to show it, and then to show the publisher. Can you see how the documentation is going? Then I also highlighted that in my solution, I have other elements, other objects that are not that I brought in as external objects. So they have different publishers. So one of them is this. So I have this publisher called CRDs, and I said it's an environment publisher used due to addition some environment feature. So if anybody goes into that solution and sees my division table, oh, they will remember that in the documentation I stated it there. Can you see that in the documentation I stated it there? On the object name, I said this is the object. This is my prefix RAS. So every of my objects will carry RAS. Can you see how the documentation went, right? For my solution strategy. Then I went to my solution object. What do you have in my solution object? I said what? In this solution, I have 6 objects. I have one model driven, one canvas app, one Power Automate Cloud Flow, and then 3 Dataverse tables. Are you seeing that in this scenario? And then the next thing I did was to now take you to say, just to put a bit of enjoyable context. I said, Vamos, come on, made it to the end of my ALM approach. Don't forget what I said, user experience. Even though it's a documentation, it's still a user experience. Vamos. I even had it, right? And then it's looking like you're just probably on your WhatsApp chatting and all of that, right? So when I take us through how to create this, you see how seamless it is. Then I said, I'm sure you are getting the feel of how the solution is evolving. That it's time to delve into the project solution. Click the icon to look into my project solution, which is the last thing here. So I click on it, and boom, it takes me here. It says the request app project solution structure. See, the first thing I did, I showed them my ER diagram, my entity relationship diagram, so you understand how my tables talk to each other. You see the beauty? Then after that, I showed them the flowchart. Can you see? This is my Canvas app flowchart. So I'm saying when you launch the app, engage the request, engage the if vision is met, submit request. If it's not met, go back to launch again from the top. Can you see the flowchart? Then I take you down again. This is a project that I've done, so I'm just showing you. I take them down again to the Power Automate flowchart. Can you see? On the Power Automate flowchart, I walk you through the Power Automate functions. Oh, add informations to Dataverse. Excuse me, please. Get ID of the division manager, and then check if the manager division and send approval to manager. If the manager approves, notify the requester that the manager has approved. If not, let the requester what review and send back to approval. That's why you have the double arrow, a callback arrow here. Can you see the idea now? Can you see how everything is being so already you have a good feel of what I've done in that project. Then I take you to my tables. Say these are my tables. I show you the tables, and then I indicated here on the highlighted mode the difference in terms of what. So if you see my table nomenclature, you would understand from what I've said at the beginning. Cool, right? And then show them my Canvas app screens, Canvas app screens, one after the other, and I explain each screen. Explain each screen. This is the request screen. This is the Canvas app function that I wrote, and then I even embedded the function in case anybody wants to do what wants to use the function. So you can easily come here and copy the function in case you need it. Can you see the beauty? What you have done is you are bringing inclusivity to the people who is watching or going through Can you see that? Performance test, this test. And I said, wow, this wraps up the documentation for that project. Now you see how it makes sense, right? It's seamless. You are able to see the trajectory of that documentation. Now that's not the only thing. You will now notice that to now even give it more, to make it more interesting, now allows. If I go back to my repository here, and I click on that repository, watch carefully. You see that I have a folder here with my flowchart. If I open that folder, you will see my flowchart are here. If I go back, I have another folder where I have my images. These are all my images, and you see they are well labeled in nomenclature. There's no white space. I mean, there's no space in between. For dead, though this is a managed, I also in case anybody wants to see it. Though if you want to do that, you have to do it as unmanaged. I uploaded it, but though in the right the better way is to go through workflows, which we're not going through today, which is what we have here. GitHub workflows, which is how you can deploy using custom models, but we're not going through that today. All right. So you see how I've documented this project, the files are here, everything is there, right? So how do you do this? So let's take the next 10 minutes and walk through how you can do this. Very seamless, and then you can follow
Thank
through
you.
from there.
All right. So
Now,
before we go on, Ayatollah, can you hear me?
yeah, yes, I can
Can
hear
you
you.
hear me? Yeah. So before we go on, I love how you broke everything
Yes,
down. All right. So if I'm going through this project, I can see everything that's been done. I can see all the tables. I can see how the tables are mapped together. So in case you're wondering how Ayatunde did all of that, it's going to walk us through. But before, I have this question. Let's assume that I'm a newbie, right? I know how to build projects on Power Platform, but I don't know exactly how to put all of this together. I'm sure that that's what you want to show us in the next 10 minutes, right?
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
Okay. So before we
mm-hmm.
go on, and Ayotunde will show us that. If you have any question for Ayotunde up onto these points, please just put out all of these questions. And also, um, I know that some people might be wondering, Ayatunde, what is the link to this your GitHub channel? This your GitHub, in case I want to, come and check all your projects. All of that also will be made available. So please just put in your question so that Ayatunde can look at them and check. So let's just check if we have any questions right now for Ayatunde. Do we have any question at all for Ayatunde? We can just highlight those questions if we have any. Okay, so we don't have any questions yet for you. So let's just go ahead and but it's amazing thus far. Please go ahead, Ayatunde, and show us how to do the same thing that
All
you've
right.
done.
Fantastic. So let's delve into this. All right. So I would assume you have gone through the first video with Clifford. So you know how to create a GitHub account now. You know how to set up a GitHub account right now, right? Now, number two would then be when you create a GitHub account for any of your project, the first thing is to create a repository. All right. So when you log into your GitHub account, you see where you have new, right? You see, I have repositories here. So I click on repositories and then you go to new. So when you go to new, it brings your profile out for you, and then you can easily name your project. In my case, I'm just going to call this project tracking. All right, project tracking. All right, project tracking. So you see that's the name of this repository, project tracking. And I'm going to leave it public. All right, you can leave it private if you want, if the solution is supposed to be within a set of people, but leave it public and then you can have it open to public, especially if you're looking for better engagement jobs and all of that. Now you need to check this button called add readme file. You see all those documentation I just did, I was able to do them because of the readme file, because the readme file is where you can write all the descriptions you need about your project. All right, so you check that. All right, and then you create repository. You create your repository. Okay. Now, once the repository is done creating, you can see it, right? Already it is here. Now, there's nothing here apart from this readme.md file, right? In this case. So how do I start? What do I need to do? What do I bring in and all of that? I said something at the beginning that uh, readme uses what we call the markdown language to write, all right? In this case, and it's very straightforward. For example, let me show us. I'm going to go here and edit this. Can you see this pencil icon? That's for editing. So I'll go there and click edit and watch this. Now I click here, then and then it says project tracking. So the hash sign are like your headers. So if I have one hash, is H1. If I have two hash and I do clean house, is H2. If I have three hash and I say clean house. Now, if we preview this, we can preview directly here. You will see how they would look. So you can see them. Watch. Can you see project tracking, clean house? You can see that it reduces in size, right? So ash is like for your headers. All right, is that clear? So that's for that side of things. Now, apart from that side, another thing is, so it means definitely you need to first give your project that kind of header so that it has a name and all of that in this scenario. So I'm going to go back to this file. I will remove that. So when you bring that in, don't forget I said take screenshot, have images of stuffs you want to use for your repository. So for example, if you look at mine now, I have all the screenshot I need. See them? All the screenshot I need for this. Apart from the screenshot, I even actually does have a few other folders because of the section. See, I have my flowchart and I have my images. So what you can do first thing is to bring it, upload it into your GitHub. All right, that would be the first thing you want to do. So I'll click back on project tracking. I'll click back on my project tracking, and then I will them. When you upload, there's something we call commit. So commit is like upload and save. So saving is like I'm pushing this item here. All right, in this case. So you can either go here to where you had add file and upload file, watch, and then I can just drag those elements here, those folders. See these folders? I can just drag them here, those folders here. Let me just bring it on your screen so you can see. So the image folder, I can just drag it down here. See? And it's uploading. So it has 24 files. Then can you see now? It's uploading in there, so that I can easily use them locally on top. All right, good stuff. So let it upload. Once it's uploaded, I can download the flowchart also. You see that? Just seamless as that. So any file you have like that, you can simply do that. So you see, I've uploaded all of this. Then the next thing you do is commit your change. You can say, okay, you know what? Image folder commit, then commit the change. So it commits to the branch. Don't worry, with branching, conversation, and everything can come up later. It's just to show you how to document for now. So I'm committing this item to the branch now. Watch carefully, and then it will be on that repository. Boom, watch it. Images are here. Can you see? If I open the image, all my images are here. Fantastic, right? So that's how you bring in your repository. If you want to go bring in the other folder, I go to add, right? And then I can also, I don't have to, I can just be dragging it in. See, I can just drag that flowchart again, drag it also in, and then boom, it uploads. So that's the first thing. So every document you need, to probably, be exposed to whoever is going to go through your documentation, bring them on board on your repository. It's very, very important. All right. If you need another document, you can bring them in. Now let's go ahead and just do quick documentation, and then you can always follow my step in the previous, walkthrough as to that. So the first thing I would do is, you know, it's called project tracking. I will edit this again, and then I want to explain what this project is all about. So under the project, I'll just type, I just say this project, right? I can just say this project or this repository holds a solution watch to track project in an organization, right? So we just watch this. I will just do something quick things. And then after that, I want to talk about the solution overview. So instead of having it as an H1 header, I want to have it as a H2 header. So I will use double hash, right? You can always just Google markdown cheat sheet, and then you will see all of this markdown. So I will say solution overview, and then on the solution overview, I can say this, this solution is deployed solely for the use of project, something like that, managers. Yeah. So you can put description, taxonomy, and every other thing you want to put in that project, just put it there. All right. But for the sake of time, I wouldn't do that. So once I'm done with this, I might want to show my design view. Now I talked about it. So I can do another high level and say design view, right? And in the design view, I want to probably just show you, a few things. Watch this. So I want to underline this. I can use this hyphen 1 2 3 thereabout. It will put an underline on the design view. And I want to write something in italics. You know the way you do it on your WhatsApp, where you put underscore and I say see image below for design view. Just watch this magic going on here, everybody. Then I will bring in one of the images to show, maybe any part of my design. So to how do you bring in images, right? So you write this markdown function, this exclamation mark, go back your array, and then you put your parentheses, and in between the parentheses you would reference the path. So watch this. Let's do so let's just so images. This is the project again, project tracking. I will open it up. Images, good. Let's see which of the images should we show. Design, blah, 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 blah. Let's say, okay, let's say landing page. So you can see landing underscore page. Let me confirm, because if it is not well laid, that will not work. It shouldn't be like that. Let's see if it's well labeled. Landing underscore page. No, it's not well labeled. So it will flag it. It will flag that. Let me rename that. So it has to be, there should not be any white space. That's the rule, everybody, okay? no white space. So landing underscore page. So you see I have landing underscore page. So all I need to do with this, drag it down here. Watch. I just come on now. Just drag it in here. Can you see? And then see, it's uploading it already. Seamless. You see, there's no stress. So the image is there. So because the image is here now, I can now, let me commit it. Yeah, I need to commit everything file, your type, you must commit. So images is there. I have my landing underscore page now. Good. So I can copy it. So in here, I will reference images folder and I will do landing underscore page. I think it's .png, right? And in this case, now let's even preview what we've done so far. Let's see how it looks like, right? In this case, so I'll click on preview, and boom, everybody, can you see? Project tracking. That's our solution name. This is what it's all about. This is solution overview. Can you see the way the headers are aligned and is clear in a way? And then the solution is this. And I said design. This is our interface. Can you see the beauty of our interface, right? In this sense. So if you want to add other things, we'll go back again to the edit mode. I've not committed these changes yet. So if you leave this interface and you didn't commit the change, all your work will be gone. All right. So you don't want your work gone. I believe so. Right. Now, apart from that, let's say we want to add other elements, right? We can other element in that conversation. Let me look for one other element we can add. Yeah, let's say I want to now say, you know what, you are done with this page. I want to talk to you about ALM. Let's go to the ALM page. And I did something earlier, right, where I embedded something on an image. It looks very nice, right? So let's tweak something very interesting here, everybody. So I'm going to do the same markdown, use lower, right? And I want to bold this statement. How do you bold? I do star star. Who remembers this? You know, if you're on WhatsApp, you do star star and then you bold an element. So let me say hello, right? Hello. Let's go to our ALM system. So let's say, and I'll put an underscore italicized. Uh so let's check our ALM, right? And I italicize and I do this, and then I want to bring in an image, and within that image, I want to do something. I will link it. I want to link it to uh another page entirely. Very interesting stuff I want to do now. Everybody, watch this carefully. So I'm bringing the image, then I'll put the link here, but we don't have the link. So we can go back to our project tracking repository, right? I can go back into my project tracking repository. You know, I have just one README file. What if I want? I can come here. I'll do add file, create new file. Follow me, and let's call this file alm.md. You see, alm.md. That's this file, and I can say put an hashtag. Don't forget, one hashtag is what? The major heading, and I can say application. Can you see that? Life cycle management. You see the beauty? And then let me commit the change. Let me commit it so that is saved. Can you see? That is saved. Now watch this. How many now? We have two README files. One was talking about the project overview. One will take us through our ALM structure. How do we now link it and marry them together? It's still documentation, but we need to marry them together. So all I will do is this ALM, I will just copy the link. See, just go to the bar here. I'll just copy it. Control copy. Simple. And I will go back our major README file. And in this parentheses, I'll just paste it there. Boom. Can you see? Then the question is, which image am I calling here? I have an image called ALM underscore icon, but do I really have that image in here? I don't have it here. So let's bring that image in. I have it saved somewhere. Let me show you. See the image here, this image. So let's bring it into our solution so that we can use it, right? We love to use it. So how do we do that again? You see, you go back again to your repository and look for your image folder. Are you following me? See the way I'm doing back and forth. So I'm not going I'm not going to too many places so that you can understand and sit. When you can understand these basics, you will easily enjoy doing this every day. All right. So let's bring in the ALM. So I'll just drag it again. See, drag, drop, and just upload it for you. See, I can let me bring in other ones. Let me bring in thank you. Uh let me bring in, yeah, let's bring in those two, and I'll just drag them in. Okay, drag and drop. Beautiful. And then boom, uploaded. Thank you 3 ALM_icon. Commit my change. So what have we just done? We just added more images to the image folder. That's the only thing we see. See it here, ALM, and then the thank you. See it here. We've just added more images. That's the only thing we've done here. We're still in the same place we are. So if you go back to the project to our README file, so can you see I am calling the image here. I can determine the width, the height, and all of that, and then the link I want it to go to. Now let me commit this change, and then let's test it out, and let's see how the beauty. So everybody see it here. Project tracking. The repository holds a solution. This is hello. Can you see? Hello. Let's check our ALM. And if I click on this, it will take us to that ALM. Let's go. I'll click on it now. Watch. Boom. And in clicking on it, it takes us here. Can you see? It takes us to this page. So if I have put anything on my ALM instance, then I can easily right now, read what you have on your ALM, all right, instance in this case. So you see, we won't go through this so because of our time. So you will see that every element we've created, I touch base with some elements that we use in creating these things, which are the things you should enjoy. I can show us a few more as to things we can leverage on. The ones I've shown us is major. What if you want to do a table? How do you go about it? You want to bring in a table here, you can't bring in a table. All right, in this case, and put information in the table and all of that. I think if you check uh data doctors recording session, you will see that there. Now with this, you can easily go ahead and keep documenting. I've shown you how to bring in image, right? I've shown you how to make something bold, how to, so you can check, mark down online and then follow, use any of the elements you want to use, and then document. But don't forget my first demo I did. That's, you must document your Power Platform project exactly how you've seen me do it in that initial. If you, I can I can get us the link to that repository. So in case you want to use it as your what standard to building your own repository and documenting your Power Platform project, guys. Irrespective of whether it's Power Canvas app, Power Automate, the same model. Just make sure that what you saw me show us, and what I've done on the screen is exactly how you go ahead to document your project step by step by step. Now, in some cases, you might want to bring in the zip file. Maybe you have your project, you want to bring it in as a zip file. Maybe you have exported as, a managed solution, and you want it so that anybody can so that anybody can play around with it in the future and enjoy, what you've done. Then you can easily come to add file, upload file, right? Choose your file, and then go to wherever you have that file on your PC. For example, let me see. I have one here. See, this is a solution. I can just click on it, open it, and then boom, it uploads. Commit the changes. When I click on it, it uploads. Commit the changes. We would go through GitHub actions to show you how, how you can make GitHub your repository for your Power Platforms project, and how you can create release pipelines to push, all right, between environments in GitHub. But today, what we've shown is what documentation, step by step, and you see the way it's clean and understandable. I think I will stop here for now. Thank you very much, Amolola. Thank you very much, Erica. Thank you, Microsoft
Amazing,
Reactor. I hope.
amazing, 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 amazing. Thank you so much, Ayatunde. So, guys, this is amazing. All right. And everything Ayatunde has done is documented in the GitHub for me series, aka.ms/GitHub for me series. Now, one of the amazing things that Ayatunde mentioned, and I would like to, highlight very well, is that you cannot afford to have any of your projects sitting in on your computer anymore. Your recruiters will not go to your computer, to check your projects. Where they would check it is on your GitHub, right? On LinkedIn. So one of the best ways to actually show a recruiter what you've done is just sending your GitHub link. By sending your GitHub link, it says a lot about you, what you've done, what you will do. And you can, define your recruitment conversation. It will not be what can you do. It will be based on what you've done in your GitHub. All right. So thank you so much, Ayatune, for telling us all of that. And of course, I'm sure that you'll be seeing a lot of our documentation. We'll be tagging you on LinkedIn. Guys, let us see what people are saying. So Obatsuyi Aderunke says, thank you, Ayotunde, for making this so simple. Oh, so thank you so much, Aderunke, for joining us. Do we have another comment? Obikoya Benga says, I've learned a lot, Ayotunde. You're amazing. You're amazing too, Benga. Thank you so much. Do we have another one there? Okay, guys, don't forget that everything we've done today is documented in the GitHub for Me series. GitHub for Me series, everything is there. Another thing is that we have everything we've done today, and other things that you might want to learn. We have. All right. Thank you so much, Ahmed. Ahmed says, great stuff, AY. This would definitely improve my documentation, Markdown, and GitHub game. Thank you, Ahmed. We are glad that we are able to help. All right. So, another thing that you might want to look at is our Microsoft Learn. We have all this documented on Microsoft Learn. So, Abdullah Kim says, thank you so much for your amazing presentation. Thank you so much, Abdullah Kim, for joining us. All right. So, on this slide, can you see my slide? So on this slide, awesome. Okay. Yes. So we have all this documented in the Cloud Skill Challenge. So everyone, check the Cloud Skill Challenge, check aka.ms, GitHub series, and GitHub from Me series, and you will see everything that we've done. Don't forget to document. Don't forget to show everything that you have done to recruiters that might be watching. Thank you so much, Ayatollah. Do you have any final words for us?
Yes, thank you everybody. Thank you so much for joining. I hope in the next session I will have chance to take us through GitHub Actions so that we can really do some interesting things. All right, thank you for having me and cheers everyone.
All right. Guys, follow Ayatunde everywhere in case you want to learn more about his project. Thank you so much, Microsoft. Thank you so much, Erica. See you and bye. Bye, everyone.